Feminist movements across countries and cultures. Hello! In this video, I'm going to be sharing some information about feminist movements across different countries and cultures. I will speak briefly about the history of a few different feminist movements around the world, and more specifically detail some of their goals and achievements. The first feminist movement that I will be sharing about is that of France. The first emergence of feminism in France occurred during the revolutionary movement of 1789. In the form of women's calls for natural rights, rights from which they were being excluded. Since, feminism has reappeared throughout French history during revolutions where women's natural rights were still not being recognized by society. This includes the Revolution of 1830, the Social Revolution of 1848, and the Commune of Paris in 1871. Only after World War II did the French women see action taken in the form of laws equating the rights of women to the rights of men. By the 1970s, a new feminist movement began to emerge. While still needing change for equal rights, their new goal was freedom from being overpowered and locked into stereotypical women's gender roles by society, a goal that feminists are still fighting to achieve today. The next country that I will speak about is Russia. The concept of feminism first appeared in Russia in the 1850s. The first major goal of feminism in Russia was to provide women with proper education. This was a success, as in 1868, Russian authorities introduced an institution for women's higher education. In 1881, Emperor Alexander II was killed, resulting in the emergence of a new generation for feminism, the revolutionary feminists. After the February 1917 revolution, revolutionary feminist organizations began to pressure the government for women's voting rights. Fortunately, their work paid off, as soon after Russia became one of the first countries in which women had the right to vote. From this period to today, there is debate over whether Russian feminism has been, is, or should be progressing or not. The next country that I will speak about is China. The first recollection of feminism as an idea in China was in 1900, and this is now considered to be the beginning period of the Chinese feminist movement. Surprisingly, the first strides for feminism in China were made by a male Chinese scholar and philosopher, Liang Kai-chou. In his writings, he denounced the tradition of foot binding as it hindered young women's development, and he advocated for women's education because instead of being, quote, freeloaders, end quote, educated women could be, quote, wealth generators, end quote, and become a greater asset for China as a nation. From 1915 to 1923, women began to take charge in the feminist movement by fighting for their individual and financial independence. By the 1930s, businesses began to hire women to do jobs that had previously only been done by men. This created controversy as it began to blur the lines of gender roles and social expectations for men versus women. In 1949, the People's Republic of China was developed. It was at this time that the Chinese Communist Party granted women rights to employment, education, and political participation. By 1978, Western theories of feminism had spread to China, driving the fight for improvement of women's social status in China overall. The final culture that I will be speaking about in this video is Africa. Feminist ideas have been present in Africa since the beginning of patriarchal oppression. However, organizations and ideals directly supporting feminism did not appear until the early 20th century. The formation of these first organizations, such as the Bantu Women's League in 1918 and the Egyptian Feminist Union in 1923, can be considered as a starting point for the African feminist movement. The United Nations Decade for Women from 1975 to 1985 advanced the spread of feminist activism and education across Africa and was thus a critical period for establishing modern African feminism. Since this period, feminists have been concerned with issues that include preventing violence, fighting for reproductive rights, and reducing poverty. And that is the end of this video. I hope you learned something new, and thanks for watching.